Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Big Four podcast.
Big Four podcast.
Let's go.
We will be starting with picks today because there are some games that are going to start here shortly. Our first pick was St. John's and Villanova. Villanova won. Everybody picked Villanova except for Luke. He picked St. John's.
Chris took St. John's.
I did not take St. John's.
No, you were disqualified because you didn't inform us who you picked. So you could have just edited the thing.
Nope. No, I did not pick St. John's. I took Villanova. Okay.
You did.
Moving on
That's 3v1.
to our first pick.
Democracy.
Exactly.
Matter.
Constitutional Republic.
Tonight, 9 o'clock on ESPN2, Purdue at Michigan State.
It's a tough one. I'm going to go by Michigan State by 20 points.
Alex, you want to make your pick? Oh, am I up first? Yes, it always goes Mike, you, and me. Okay. Yeah, tough one. Carson Edwards is going to throw up about 35, but they're still going to lose. I'm going to take Michigan State. Carson Edwards has been at Purdue for about 8 years now. But what's to say? Matt McQuaid's been at Michigan State for 20, so I'm going to take the experience of Matt McQuaid over Carson Edwards.
The junior Matt McQuaid.
Yeah. I'm surprised Isaac Haas isn't still there. He was there for a ton of years.
I heard Zach Randolph is coming off the bench tonight. Chris, you going to pick or just sit there?
So, could you take Michigan State? All right, I'm also taking Michigan State. It's going to be a close game, though. Michigan State's defense is not good. Carson Edwards is going to torch them. It's going to be a very high-scoring game, but Michigan State will pull away at the end.
Well, I thought you said you were going to pick Purdue all day, and now you're going to take Michigan State?
That's right.
Ridiculous.
Okay. Big rivalry game here on ESPN tonight. This is our game of the week. North Carolina at North Carolina State.
This is an easy one. North Carolina State's the better basketball team.
I'm also going to pick NC State because they handled UMaine pretty well, so I'm going to have to take that.
That's a good pick. That's a good reason.
Yeah.
I'm going to take North Carolina.
I remember when Chris said North Carolina was going up to the Alphon to play.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to take North Carolina, too, because Michigan played them. Okay.
So why'd you pick St. John's if Michigan played Villanova?
I did not pick St. John's. Okay, we're moving on. Another ranked matchup tonight on the great network of ESPN News. Oklahoma at Texas Tech.
I watch ESPN News to get news. I don't want to watch a game. Why is it on ESPN News? I don't care. I'm going to take Texas Tech, though.
Yeah, they have a phenomenal defense, so I'm going to take... Even though Lon Kruger's a great coach, I'm still going to take Texas. Get your guns up! Get your guns up! I'm taking Texas Tech.
Okay, I will also take Texas Tech. This will be a good game. Oklahoma's a pretty good team. Yeah, but they will get out-coached because Lon Kruger is not a good coach. Okay.
Ridiculous.
Next game. Big game! Ohio State, this is the Rack. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock on Big Ten Network. Who you got?
Yeah, this is an easy one. Give me Rutgers in a blowout.
Okay, I'll put that down, Rutgers, for Mike.
Yep, Rutgers. Give me Rutgers.
It's hard to pick the road team, especially in that kind of environment.
Oh, the Rack will be ready. The Rack will be ready for this one.
Sold out for the first time in 50 years.
Exactly.
Ohio State, they played better than I thought against Michigan State, but I'll take Ohio State.
Well,
I can get a ticket for $12 to go see the game. So I'm going to take Ohio State. Shows you no one wants to go to the game.
Well, the Michigan State Purdue tickets are selling at $8, so.
Well, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech's at $5.
Well, the Michigan game was free, I heard. They're just trying to get people in the building.
Marquette Creighton's at $3. Miami versus Florida is $2. Yeah, I'm going with Ohio State. Rutgers is a very good basketball team, but I'm going to go with Ohio State.
Terrible pick.
They're up there with Illinois. Yes, that's right. All right, speaking of Marquette Creighton, we'll pick that game tomorrow night, 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network, the network for big games. Who you got?
Well, it depends who's on the call. If, what's his name? Carter Blackburn's on the call, I'm going to have to go with Marquette. Anybody else, I got to go with Creighton, but I'm guessing it's going to be Carter Blackburn, so I'm going to take Marquette.
Well, because Marquette beat Buffalo, I'm going to have to take Marquette. I'm going to take Creighton because they're a better team.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It's going to be a very good game. Creighton's a tough place to play.
Go to Big Bucket.
Yeah, that's right. Coach Big Bucket. That's a good.
He's a top 5 coach.
He can't even recruit kids with his own name. There's a guy on Butler named McBucket, named McDermott, and he's shooting like 70% from 3 this year, and he couldn't even recruit him.
Dude, his best player was his own son. I mean,
Oh, that's sad.
talk about some questionable recruiting there. He's been talking to him since he was born against Creighton.
Yeah, I'm going with Marquette.
All right.
Next game, we have a ranked matchup. Kansas Udoka Azubuike for the rest of the year is going up against a ranked TCU team. Who you got?
Well, Kansas is a completely different team without Doak. Doak was a great player, rim protector, gave him size, great underneath, all that stuff. And TCU still has Jalen Fisher, so I'm going to take TCU.
Wait, where's the game?
Kansas.
Oh, it's okay. If it was at TCU, I would have picked them. Quentin Grimes is nasty, so I'm going to go with Kansas.
Then they'll lose home game.
That's true. I'm going to take Kansas.
Okay. I'm going to take Kansas too.
Ridiculous! Ridiculous!
Nobody wins there, so
Oh, yeah.
Kansas.
TCU, or Oklahoma State had no problem last year. Who else? Do you want me to start naming them? West Virginia? Texas Tech had no problem. Texas? Arizona State?
Moving on. Okay. Big game on Thursday. 8 o'clock FS1, Michigan at Illinois.
Wow, another home game for Michigan. Unbelievable. What is this, their 7th straight home game?
Oh, really?
Yep. Because they're at home, I'm taking Michigan.
I'll also take Michigan. Speaking of which, do you guys realize today was Duke's first real road game of the year?
Yep.
That's so good.
It's not a real road game. Wake Forest is a home game for them.
And they play 7 and 6 Wake Forest.
Yep. Great scheduling.
In state, it's not even out of state.
Yeah, it's literally 2 miles away.
I'm going to take Michigan.
This is a tough one for me.
This is probably going to take Illinois.
I'm really tempted to take Illinois. This is a classic crap game.
No, Chris is just building it up. So when Michigan wins, wins by 20 because Illinois sucks. He can come back and be like, what a win! What a performance! I was telling everybody Illinois was a good team and we blew them out.
Illinois is a good team.
He does it every single game.
That is a very, very difficult place to play. We've seen top ranked.
There's 473 tickets available.
We've seen top 2 teams go there and lose. We saw Indiana lose. This is a trap game. This is going to be a very close game. It'll be a sellout at Illinois. I'm going to go with Michigan in a very close game.
Have they ever sold out that arena?
Oh, they'll be sold out for this game.
Are you playing at the United Center again?
No.
Speaking of, Ohio State has not played a road game all year.
Not clear. We played UCLA.
Yeah, okay. That was in Chicago, but whatever.
Played Minnesota.
Okay, moving on. Big game inside the Big Ten. Friday, 7 o'clock in FS1. Indiana at Maryland. We just have I believe we have the final. I believe Maryland just defeated Minnesota at Minnesota.
What?
Good win for them.
I thought Minnesota was winning.
Nope. Maryland was up by 7 with a minute left last time I checked.
Dang it! All my chips were in with Coach Pitino. Ridiculous. Yeah, Maryland's a better team than Indiana. Give me Maryland.
I'm going to take Maryland, too. Where's the game?
At Maryland.
Okay, then, wait, who did you say they're playing? Indiana?
Yeah.
I'm going to take Indiana.
That's ridiculous.
Hey, Chris.
What?
For Alex. Yes. UNC, 4 minutes into the game's up 8-0. Okay. And? Game's over.
No, they got that Ohio State transfer.
Like Chris now.
They got that Ohio State transfer at point guard. NC State.
9-0. I heard Dennis Smith was coming back to play.
Facts. I heard Bradley Chubb's coming back too.
I will take Indiana because Michigan played Indiana.
At least you're honest about it.
All right, here's a big game. This will be Saturday on ESPN at the prime time, 2 o'clock. Duke at Florida State.
Well, I like Leonard Hamilton. I think he's a good coach, but I can't pick him here because just what they did against Virginia, just completely embarrassing. Down 30 with 2 minutes to go. I'm going to take Duke.
Yep, Leonard Hamilton is a spectacular coach, but Duke is too good, so I'm going to take Duke.
I'm going to take Duke. Yeah, Leonard Hamilton's a great coach, and I really did not like what Duke did against Lake Forest. They didn't really play well. But I'm still going to take Duke.
Didn't they win by like 20?
Well, Duke struggled at home today. Really struggled.
Yeah, they did. I'm going to go with Duke, though. They're a better team. Okay. Here we go. Also 2 o'clock on Saturday on FS1. Seton Hall at Marquette.
Is this the Big East podcast, or what is this? Why are we picking so many Big East games?
It's a big game.
It's not a big game. Who cares?
It's a big game.
I couldn't care less about the Big East. I'd rather be picking West Coast Conference games than this. Anyway, give me Marquette. This is an easy one.
I'll take Marquette. As will I.
No, I'm going to take Marquette too, but I'll tell you what. Seton Hall wins big games. And they'll be ready for this one.
Oh, they don't. They choke in big games. They choke every year.
They beat St. John's.
Had a big game against DePaul, and they lost.
DePaul is good this year.
DePaul is good. Every team in the Big East will make the tournament.
Listen, I like Seton Hall. They beat...
We will record that. We will record that moment. Right
But
there.
Seton Hall did lose to Louisville at home, so that's a bad loss.
Okay. All right, we are moving on. Big rivalry. Texas just lost to Oklahoma State, so not a great loss there.
Was that game on the road? Was that at Oklahoma State?
Yeah.
Well, of course, nobody wins in Stillwater. Doesn't matter how bad the Cowboys are. Nobody goes into that stadium and wins. Texas is going to beat Texas Tech.
Okay, if you're picking Texas. This is on the Longhorn Network, by the way.
Oh, that's not biased at all. No.
I'll take Texas. I'll also take Texas.
Yeah. Texas is not a good basketball team. Give me Texas Tech.
Oh, come on. Shaka Smart's gotten playing well.
Okay.
They went into K-State and won. Nobody does that. Nobody in the Big 12 does that.
Do you take Kent State?
Kansas State. K-State.
Kent State.
Although they did beat Kent State earlier this year. Actually, definitely.
At Kent State?
Yep, at Kent State.
Okay, this will be Saturday, 2:30 on the Big Ten Network. Ohio State at Iowa.
Well, Iowa does not show up on the road at all. They suck on the road. You saw what they did against Purdue. They just don't show up on the road. But luckily, this game's at home. It should favor them a little bit. They have two big men that could really affect the game. Bohannon's been playing has been playing a lot better. I'm taking Iowa.
Wait, I didn't hear who they're playing.
Ohio State.
I'm going to take Ohio State. Chris, who are you picking?
I'm going with Ohio State. Iowa's the 10th best team in the Big Ten, so I can't pick them.
I'm taking Ohio State too. I feel a little nervous picking the same pick as Chris, not gonna lie.
How about me going against Ohio State after we beat them twice this week? That's how you pick.
What? Good job, Mike.
Thank you.
Twice? No, he's picked against them twice, dummy. Oh. Okay. Saturday, ESPN, Tennessee at Florida.
I'm rolling with the Gators. Give me Mike White. This is going to be a 41-36 final.
I'm picking Nevada over Fresno State. That's great that we're not picking that game.
Oh, why aren't we picking that game?
Oh, why?
I would have taken Fresno.
We will be talking about Nevada. We will be talking about Nevada later. I'm taking Tennessee.
Give me Mike White. Give me Florida. You don't go into Florida and win.
Nobody goes in there and wins except for Michigan State and South Carolina.
South Carolina.
And Kentucky.
Oh, look at this. Another terrible team that Michigan State has played, Florida. Tennessee's going to blow the doors off Florida.
Well, they're better than Villanova.
What?
They're better than Villanova.
That is ridiculous.
I'll take Florida over Villanova at a neutral court any day. Their defense is ferocious. Best defense that Michigan State will face all year.
Okay. Yeah, okay. All right. Villanova at Creighton.
Did you pick this game?
12 o'clock on Fox. What?
Did you pick the last game?
Yeah, I took Tennessee.
Oh, I thought you were going to take Florida.
No.
Chris loves Tennessee.
That's
Oh,
right,
wow.
Final Four.
The Big East podcast again here.
This is a big game.
It's not.
It's on Fox. It's a big game.
I'm taking Coach McBuckets and the Creighton Blue Jays.
Yep, I'm also going to take Creighton.
Because I can't remember who the other team is, I'll take Creighton.
It's Duke.
I'll take Creighton. Yeah, I'm taking Villanova because Michigan played them. Why haven't we picked the West Virginia game yet? What game would that be?
We will never pick a West Virginia game ever this year.
West Virginia sucks. Your mom sucks.
Ooh, roasted.
Okay, nobody knows why this game is on CBS. I guess they're trying to get views because the Patriots-Chargers game is right before this. So Michigan State's just so desperate for views on their games. This game's on CBS.
We don't schedule them. CBS schedules them. That means Michigan State fans really want.
They paid off Michigan State paid off CBS to cover this game.
What? Just like Shevers paid off the refs today.
It's just, I heard Spiro Ditas will be there.
Let's go. Let's go. I love Spiro
Michigan State and Penn
Ditas.
State.
This is an easy one, but I'm just going to say it's going to be empty, and this is going to be an embarrassment for basketball Sunday on CBS. It's going to be completely empty. Nobody shows up to a Penn State basketball game. The tickets are probably free, and still nobody shows up. I'm going to take Michigan State because Penn State is a terrible basketball team. Worst in the Big Ten.
Okay, let's go with that.
They are the worst in the Big Ten, and I'm serious.
Is this game in half early?
Yes, it's at Penn State.
Ooh, that's tough.
Oh, give me a break.
Cassius Winston could go play 1v5 and they'd still win.
Honestly,
I'm gonna take Michigan State.
all they do is take mid-range jump shots. That's all Penn State does.
Did you see them play Wisconsin? That was terrible.
They got destroyed at home.
Oh my god.
Luke!
I'm gonna take Michigan State. Very respectful.
I'm going with Michigan State, too. I'll say more about Penn State later when we talk about Michigan's week. But I'm taking Michigan State. All right. Here's a massive game.
Oh, look! Another home game!
Northwestern heads to Chrysler Center. I heard this will be Star Wars Day again at Chrysler. Sunday on the Big Ten Network. What you got?
Northwestern is going to be hungry for this one. After getting blown out on the road at Michigan State, they'll be ready. I really like Northwestern's team. They're just missing that one piece. If they had that one piece, I think they'd be a tournament team, but they're not. They'll keep it close. Michigan will win by 10 like they do against every bad team.
Yep, there's no way Northwestern wins at Michigan, so I'm going to take Michigan. I'm going to take Michigan.
Yeah, I agree. Northwestern, not a good team. Michigan struggled with them last time. They'll make the adjustments and they'll blow them out this time.
Oh, they're not a good basketball team, but they were 3 away from knocking off Michigan.
I know that. All right. This is our final game. This actually might be the game of the week. This is a big rivalry.
How is this game on here?
It's a rivalry. I got to put this on here.
A rivalry? What rivalry?
You got to be kidding me. This is a massive rivalry.
Syracuse, you have to win for it to be a rivalry.
Syracuse wins all the time.
They never beat Duke. When was the last time they beat Duke?
Remember that shot a couple years ago? He banked in from half court.
No. Oh yeah. Syracuse didn't even make the tournament that year. Give me a break.
Matter. All right, big game. We got.
And wouldn't you know it? Duke is at home. Wouldn't you know it? Yeah, give me Duke by like 50 points.
I think Duke. Wait, what's the big guy's name for Syracuse? The huge guy.
Dolezaj. No, what's the guy's name? Chuku.
Battle.
Yeah. He's going to be filthy, but I'm still going to take Duke.
Chuku, my gosh, he's awful.
Yeah, well,
he's like Taco Fall. He's like 7'5" and can't do anything.
He's a good defender. He can't rebound at all.
He will get postered at least 3 times in that game.
I'm going with Syracuse. Oh my goodness!
I mean,
that's why this game's on here.
I mean, I did.
I'm going Syracuse.
I
I'll tell
did.
you why. Jim Boeheim. Oh, Coach Ted. He always beats them. They're going to go in and carry yourself and win, and Michigan will be ranked number 1 next week.
Chris, you could.
Tyus Battle is the best player on the court in this game. Give it yours.
Chris, you could be rich for selling the crack you're on right now to everybody. My gosh, what have you been smoking?
I'm taking Syracuse. Let's go. Go Orange.
I did take TCU to beat Kansas, but now I feel a lot better about that pick with this pick. My gosh.
Okay, we'll move into the topics now. We'll start with Michigan State. They beat Northwestern bad, and then they took down Ohio State at the Nut House. What's your reaction to Michigan State's week?
Well, I was impressed. I was very impressed. Let's start with the Northwestern game. As Coach Izzo says, this was a trap game. Looking ahead to Ohio State, Northwestern's a really good basketball team, and they just blew the absolute doors off them. Went on a 22-1 run late in the first half. Nick Ward was unbelievable, but that game didn't really matter much. The Ohio State game, so proud of Nick Ward. Nick Ward would have fouled out in the first 5 minutes if this game was played last year, but he's matured as a player. He's much better on the defensive end, and he doesn't get in foul trouble, unlike Caleb Wesson. He's a great player. Cassius looked like the best point guard in the country. McQuaid was great. Goins was awful, but it didn't matter because we still won.
I was impressed. I'm not gonna lie. Sold out at Ohio State.
Yeah, you can apologize to Nick Ward for the slander you said earlier this year.
I will not apologize to Nick Ward.
Ridiculous.
Wow, he plays great against average teams and bad teams.
Oh, really? Ohio State's Caleb Wesson's an average defender. All right.
Well, when he's sitting his ass on the bench in foul trouble, yeah.
They were going at it all game, both of them.
Oh my goodness.
By the way, we're talking about the Michigan State side of it. We'll get to the Ohio State side of it next slide.
That's embarrassing. I was more impressed with the Northwestern win.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm just kidding. But
Okay.
No, I was impressed. It was a good week, and they actually look like they should. And Cassius Winston has been playing very well as of late. So I think he's definitely stepped up. And I think they're a team to fear in the Big Ten.
Let me just say, Tom Izzo refuses to say that this team is better than last year's team. And deep down, he knows they are. He just doesn't want them to feel like they are, because once you start feeling like you're better, then that's when you start taking plays off. That's when you start losing games you should win. And by the way, we won these games without Josh Langford, one of our best defenders and a team captain. Unbelievable.
I thought it was a good win for Michigan State, and it proves that it shows that Michigan State is just like last year, that they're a good team, they challenge, but I don't think they have enough to win at all.
Yeah, it was a good win for Michigan State. I was very impressed. I was impressed with the Ohio State win, but I agree with Alex. I was definitely more impressed with the Northwestern win. Just the way they handled Northwestern. Ohio State's not a good team, and they really handled Northwestern. They struggled with Ohio State a little bit, but they got the win. 2 good wins, and I'll make a statement right now. Michigan and Michigan State are the 2 best teams in the country, and I can't wait until they play.
That's ridiculous. Michigan's not even a top 10 team. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, let's calm down. Okay.
Relax.
I'm joking.
All right, now let's go to the Ohio State side of it. What did you think about Ohio State in the game against Michigan State?
I thought Caleb Wesson has really matured, just like Nick Ward, about the same level of progression for both of them from last year. Wesson was great, but he's really expanded his game. Kyle Young off the bench is nasty. C.J. Jackson, I don't know what happened, cramps or something, but he didn't really play much in the second half. That really affected them. But really, Chris Holtmann is a great coach, because if this was Thad Matta, this team would be under 500. Because Thad Matta is a mediocre coach and a great recruiter. But Chris Holtmann is a great coach. They run great things on offense. This team could be a Sweet 16 team, and they don't really have the talent to be a Sweet 16 team just because Chris Holtmann's a great coach.
Yep. I think Caleb Wesson played pretty well.
He's the more pick of all time.
I thought he played pretty well. I thought Andre Wesson definitely did not play as well. But, yeah, I just don't think they had the talent that Michigan State had, and it just came and burned them at the end. They were in the game for a good part of it, but I think Michigan State had more talent.
We blew them out in the second half. We won the second half by like 25 points.
Yeah, I know. You guys were down 7 at half.
Yeah, you guys won the second half 50 to
50. It looked like Ohio State kind of burned out a little bit at the end, but they're a solid team. They're a solid team.
I think we played really well until I didn't get to catch the second half because I had practice, but I think we played really well. We just don't have anybody that can take over the game like
we did last year with Caleb HDL. But I thought there's definitely a ceiling to this team, but I think the floor is high and the ceiling's low. Okay.
I really think that they need to give Joey Lane more minutes.
Suck it, Jeff the buzzer!
Okay, let's calm down.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Ohio State. As Mike said, Caleb Weston and Kyle Young played very well. How about Luther Muhammad? Nasty. This is a good loss for Ohio State, they're just not a good basketball team. This is a good loss to a much more talented team.
I wouldn't say much. We have a white Matt McQuaid and a white Kyle Lawrence out there. Let's calm down with the talent gap.
Well, you have the most talent in the Big Ten right now, so.
We have Cassius, and that's about it. Nick Ward's barely a talent, a 6'9" center. And Kenny Goins is a football player playing basketball.
Okay, let's move on to the number 2 ranked team in the country. They defeated Penn State and Indiana, both at home this week. What's your reaction to Michigan's week?
Well, 2 home games. What a shocker. That's my reaction. But listen, Michigan's a really good basketball team. They played well against Indiana, although the refs kind of gift wrapped them the game early, of giving Juwan Morgan and Romeo Langford 2 fouls early. They're good. When they make shots, they can be the best team in the country. But the problem is they don't make shots all the time. So it's going to be there's going to be problems for them to score at times. Brasdinkus wasn't great over the last 2 games. He needs to pick it up a little bit more. But yeah, they're a good team. They're second best team in the Big Ten.
Okay. Penn State game was nothing because Penn State sucks. But I mean, I will agree with Mike. The 2 fouls on Morgan and Langford at the beginning definitely helped. But I've been more impressed with Jordan Poole the way he's played the last couple weeks. Yeah. Stepped up. And I think John Heskey has definitely improved this year.
Here's what I'll say.
I am worried still about the free throws. If you had Heskey, Simpson, and Matthews on the floor at the same time, and all guys are at like 60% from the line, I think that's going to hurt at some point.
I forgot to mention, how about Nick Ward going 8 for 11 from the free throw line last game? How about that?
How about it?
How come Xavier Simpson can't make a free throw and Nick Ward can?
That's a good question. Dude, have you seen Xavier Simpson's skyhook?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Here's what I'll say.
Nasty.
If Xavier Simpson finds a way to improve on his 3-point shot, they can be the best team in the country. But right now they have a high ceiling, but they still have a ceiling because Simpson can't shoot.
Yeah, and I think Charles Matthews has definitely matured and improved a lot this year. I'm glad he didn't go to the draft. Yes.
All right. The Penn State game. Penn State is a decent defensive team. Mike Watkins, pretty good player, but Penn State's not very good. But a win's a win. The Indiana game, I was impressed. I was very impressed with the Indiana game. Matthews played very well. His shot is greatly improved. Simpson played well. Poole has really improved a lot. And I think that at Indiana, I believe that's 4 games away. I think that's going to be this team's first loss. But we'll see. I was impressed by this win. They solidified themselves as the best team in the Big Ten.
Ridiculous. You can't beat Penn State by 10 and be the best team in the Big Ten.
Win's a win.
Nope, not against crappy Penn State. It isn't a win.
Okay, Mike, tell me why Michigan State's better. It doesn't make any sense.
Because we have a point guard that's the best in the country. We've held our opponents to the lowest field goal percentage in the Big Ten of any team. We have the most efficient offense in the Big Ten. Do you want me to go on? We have a dominant big man.
Giving it up Michigan sucks. Michigan's the worst team in the top 25 right now. That's a hot take right there. That's my hot take of the week.
Old. Enough of this. Okay. Mike wanted a conference scoreboard, so I've implemented one. Some finals from last week: Maryland over Nebraska, Indiana over Illinois, Purdue over Iowa, Minnesota over Wisconsin, Maryland over Rutgers, Northwestern over Illinois, Iowa over Nebraska, and Wisconsin over Penn State. Any reactions to these games?
Let's start with Purdue beating Iowa. Iowa just does not show up on the road, as I said before. They don't play any defense on the road. So if you've got Iowa at home, just pencil in a W, basically. They play well at home, but they suck on the road. Minnesota going into Kohl Center and winning. Minnesota's a really good basketball team. Same with Maryland with a great win over Rutgers. Northwestern, whenever you win the rivalry of Illinois, Land of Lincoln Trophy, that's a good win. Iowa, once like I said, plays well at home. That's why they beat Nebraska. And Penn State sucks. That's why they got blown out at home by Wisconsin.
Yeah, Penn State is the worst team in the Big Ten. Now,
Yes, they are.
Rutgers is the worst team. I would take when Rutgers and Penn State play. I'm taking Rutgers.
Okay.
Pat Chambers.
Penn State cannot shoot the ball.
Job.
Pat Chambers sucks.
And I will say I was a little surprised too that Minnesota went in and won out Wisconsin. But and I think Carson Edwards is nasty. You're right. Iowa cannot play on the road.
It's not that they don't play on the road. They don't even show up. They literally do not show up on the road. It's disgusting.
Mike, how do you feel? Mike, how do you feel about Tom Izzo calling Pat Chambers' suspension soft?
Well, it was soft. You should be able to punch your players.
Luke? Yeah, what up? Any reactions there, or are you good? Yeah, Penn State sucks. Minnesota's good, even though Ohio State blew them out by 20. Everyone's mediocre this year. You have Michigan State, level 1, Ohio State's level 2, and everyone else is level 3.
No, they're not mediocre. They're good. We got 10 teams that are going to make the tournament this year.
Minnesota might be the most inconsistent team in the Big Ten.
Like James Franklin's levels, Michigan and Michigan State are elite. Ohio State is great, and everyone else is good.
And Illinois and Rutgers and Penn State are terrible.
No, Illinois is nasty.
They are not good at all.
You wonder why this podcast has no credibility. It's because every week Chris is coming out saying Illinois is nasty.
Honestly, what the heck?
Going against the picks.
Purdue's a pretty good team, led by Ryan Klein. Look at Maryland. Maryland's very good. Big win over Minnesota. They're going to be ranked next week. Minnesota, pretty good team. Iowa sucks. Wisconsin sucks. Nebraska is okay. We'll see what happens with them. They're very inconsistent. They're really up and down. We'll see. Are we good on this?
Yes.
Okay, here's the topic we've all been waiting for. I definitely want to start with Alex on this topic. Nevada is run out of the building in the pit. The reaction.
Well, I would just like to say a couple things before we start. We can all agree that the pit is notoriously hard to play in.
Yes. We can agree on that.
Nevada has struggled in the first half of every game this year, and it was going to come back and bite them eventually. And they cannot play against the zone. They got blown out before the season started against Washington to play the zone. And when both the Muslims combine for like 4 of 25 from the field, they're not going to win. So they did not shoot the ball well at all. They were playing a very tough road environment in a conference game, and they can't play against zone. And they cannot, for some reason, lead after the first half. So it's good to get that game out of their system, get all the pressure off about going undefeated and running the table. And I think they're going to be just fine, and they should win now.
No, well, they are Wichita State from last year. Only Wichita State from last year actually played a decent schedule. Nevada hasn't played anybody, including New Mexico. See what happens? See what happens when you've got a grossly overrated team. They're a good team. They're a tournament team. but they are grossly overrated. They lost in the second round of the tournament for a reason last year. Or whatever, the Sweet 16, whatever it was. They lost to Loyola last year for a reason. Yes, they have a lot of returning talent, like Jordan Caroline or whatever, but it doesn't matter because they haven't played anybody to prove that they're a good team, to prove they're an elite team. And listen, when you get blown out of the building, I know it's against New Mexico in the pit, but come on. This is the team that's supposed to be...
New Mexico does have some bad losses, including a 35-point loss in New Mexico State.
Well, New Mexico State's good, but New Mexico is what are they?
Not good.
What are they? 7-6 or 6-7 or something like that? Inexcusable. Inexcusable to get blown out.
It's good to have a loss like that, and it's good to get it out of their system, and I think they're going to be fine the
Listen,
rest of the way.
If they lost by...
They shot like 30% that game, so nobody's winning shooting 30%.
If they lost by like 3 points, then maybe you could say, oh, it was the road environment that really hurt them. But they lost by 30 points. I mean, that's embarrassing.
That's a tough road environment nonetheless.
I mean, when the best team you played out of conference is South Dakota State, you've got problems.
Mike Dom should be a lottery pick. Calm down. He's been there for like 100 years. My God. Chris, what do you think?
Nevada is a good team, but when they come in, they're going to make the field 68, and when they come in the first, second, probably second or either second round or Sweet 16, they're going to get run out of the gym when they face a good opponent.
You know what I don't understand? This really pisses me off. Nevada was projected to be a 1 seed. A 1 seed. Well, while I hate last year's Michigan State team, we went 29-3 on a soft schedule. It was given a 3 seed. That's BS. They should not be a top 6 seed with the schedule they're playing. That's ridiculous.
I agree with you, Mike. Nevada sucks.
They do not suck.
New Mexico is not a good team. You get blown out by New Mexico.
I think they're playing against the zone.
Doesn't matter.
It looks like Michigan State and Syracuse
blown out of the building by a terrible New Mexico team. I've been saying it all year. Nevada sucks. They're overrated.
Well, Chris, it is a rivalry game.
Okay. This is just an embarrassing loss. Awful.
Lobo.
They're not losing the rest of the way.
They will lose at least 3 more games the rest of the way.
They will lose to Fresno.
Who are they going to lose to?
They will lose to Fresno.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And maybe at Utah State's a tough place to play.
That's right.
The Mountain West is awful.
They play UNLV?
Yeah. Okay.
That's a loss.
Okay, now UNLV's a blue blood. Jesus Christ.
They're championship teams.
That's right. Blue blood.
Yep, Anthony Bennett just took their blue blood status and threw it down the toilet.
Greatest UNLV player ever, Anthony Bennett.
My God.
All right. All right. What is the deepest conference in college basketball?
Easy one, Big Ten, not even close.
As of right now or like preseason?
Right now.
Right now. I'm going to probably Big Ten. I think some conferences are better at the top, but I think the deepest is definitely Big Ten.
Well, let me say something. The Big 12 and Big East only have 10 teams, so it's kind of tough to say what's the deepest conference. I think the Big 12's close, actually. The ACC has a bunch of good teams and a bunch of bad teams, so not them. It's between the Big 10, the Big 10, Big 12, and the Big East is third.
I mean, if you really want to look at it, you can just look at some of the bottom teams from each and see how deep that goes, because the bottom of the Big Ten is not good.
Right, but they have a 14-team conference, so of course their bottom's probably going to be worse than other conferences, probably.
Well, yeah, I mean, like sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to take the Big East just to get it before Chris can take it.
Come on.
I'm taking the Big East.
Chris, nope, the Pac-12's still on the board.
No, Pac-12 is the deepest. They're the most.
The American. UConn is back.
The West Coast Conference.
The Big 12's close. The Big 10's close. The Big East.
The NEAC.
Every team in the Big 12 will make the tournament. So the Big 12, the Big East will make the tournament. So yeah, you got to go with Big East.
Okay, Providence is not making the tournament. They lost
Yes,
to
they
UMass.
are. Providence is a tournament team.
They lost to crappy Wichita and crappy UMass. They're not making the tournament.
Nope. Ed Cooley will have his
Ed
team.
Cooley is the most mediocre coach in college basketball.
Top 5 coach in the country.
Facts. Ed Cooley always gets a play-in game every year, I swear. Every year they're a play-in team.
So true.
They'll be an 11 seed for the 10th straight year.
Actually, I want to change my pick. The deepest league in the country's A10.
I like that pick. That's a good pick.
Yep. George Washington, George Mason.
The American East is also very deep.
How about St.
Good team.
How about St. Bonaventure? 4-10 on the season.
They're a blue blood.
They looked good against George Mason the other night.
Yeah,
Blue
well,
blood's going at it.
St. Bonaventure's top 4 scorers are hurt.
They're like a play-in every 3 years.
Honestly, the A10 always has that play-in team every year.
What is what conference has the best top team?
It's close.
A10.
I mean, the Pac-12. The Pac-12's in the conversation with good Cal. Oregon State's off to a great start in the Pac-12 season, but I'm not going to go there. It's between the ACC and the Big Ten. I got to go with the ACC right now. It's close, but ACC because they have more championship contenders in the Big Ten.
Yep. I think the ACC has a couple phenomenal teams. I think between Duke, Virginia, UNC, Florida State. I'm not high on Virginia Tech. They always start like this.
Listen, if you lose to Penn State, I have no respect for you.
Yep, and I mean they got a couple solid teams in the middle, but in terms of just up top, they got some championship contenders.
Don't forget about Wake Forest.
That's right. Sure, they did just lose by 25 to Duke, but that's okay.
Exactly.
Good loss.
Georgia Tech.
It was basically a road game for them. Georgia Tech. Luke?
I think we're going to have to go with the Big 12.
Okay.
West Virginia.
Kansas, Texas Tech, Iowa State, TCU.
Yep, that's a good pick.
Texas is really good.
No, they're not. The Big 12 is close, I guess. But I'll pick the Big 10 because they have 2 championship contenders and the ACC has 1.
No, yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Big 10.
That's ridiculous.
The ACC has 3.
The ACC
The ACC has 1.
The ACC has 7 contenders. 7.
Did you say it was Virginia Tech?
Yeah, Virginia Tech is the only championship contender in the ACC. I'll tell you why. Virginia, you know they're going to lose in the first 3 rounds like they always do.
No, this is a different team. I got Virginia winning it all this year.
That's what they say every year, every single year.
Well, that's what they said about Villanova every year, and look what happened.
Duke just doesn't have the experience. North Carolina just doesn't have the players.
Duke has the most talent. What do you? Oh my!
Doesn't matter. No experience. I'm taking the Big 10.
My goodness.
I mean,
I think according to Chris, the best team in the ACC is Penn State.
No, the best team in the ACC is Duke. But the championship.
You just said it was Virginia Tech.
No, I said they were the biggest championship contender. There's a difference.
Don't forget about Syracuse. Aren't they a championship contender? Come on.
That's right. Oh, that's right. That's right. This is now a tie between the Big 10 and the ACC because Syracuse is a contender. Chris, actually, the Big 10 is not taking the lead because Illinois is a championship contender as well.
Chris. You just said on last week's podcast that Ohio State wasn't very good because they had a horrible loss to Syracuse.
I get this down. I will get this down. I said they haven't played anybody. The only good team they played was Syracuse.
No, you said Syracuse. No, I did not. I will get the clip for next week.
Okay, I will get that clip.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you said Syracuse was a horrible loss. I'm pretty sure.
I did not say that. Okay. What is she for Power 5, Power 6 conference?
Are you kidding me? Why is this even a question?
Does the Pac-12 even have a team ranked?
No.
They don't even have a team that like their votes.
Their conference tournament champions should not be able to make the tournament.
Honestly.
I don't think they're a team that received any votes.
Listen, I hope Oregon State wins the tournament because I want my Beavers in the tournament, but it's the Pac-12.
Coach Tinkle.
Tress Tinkle is the best player in the Pac-12.
No, the Pac-12 is god-awful.
They had a great win over Oregon.
I think the Mountain West might be better, honestly.
That's ridiculous.
Honestly,
They have a team that's good.
honestly, the Mountain West,
Yes, they do.
the Mountain West is better, and the WCC is probably better too.
The American is better. No.
Well, the
Yes.
American sucks this year.
The A10 is the A10
No. American East. The A10 is better.
American East.
America East is better. See, Stony Brook was in the top 25 mid-major schools. They were like 16th.
Vermont is gonna.
Oh yeah, Vermont was top 5.
Okay. So last thing what are your updated Final Four picks?
Michigan State, Virginia, and it's a tough one. Gonzaga.
I'm gonna have to take a page out of Dan Dockish's book. I'm gonna go with Michigan State, Ohio State, Minnesota.
Hey, you forgot Indiana. He loves Indiana.
Oh yes.
I remember Dockich had Ohio State in his Final Four last year, and they weren't even ranked.
Yeah.
Dan Dockett, he just goes on like tangents about other stuff besides the game.
So actually, I really like this player. I think he's really good.
Dude, someone was still like a good screen. Like, holy shit, what a screen!
At
Did you
least,
see that screen?
at least when Bill Walton goes on tangents, you just know he's high as hell. So you give him a break for it. But Dan Dockich, there's no excuse. My gosh.
How does he have a job?
What is with ESPN and hiring these awful analysts? My,
Dude, it'll be like a 90% free throw shoot at the line. He'll be like, I think he's gonna make this one. He'll make it. Be like, I told you. I just.
My Final Four is gonna be Texas Tech, Duke, Buffalo. Buffalo's a good team. And I don't know who the fourth team is going to be. Tennessee. Nice, Tech.
I remember last year when Dan Dockich said Zach McRoberts was Indiana's best player.
Last year they showed Dan Dockich's top 4, like his Final Four prediction, and they put it on the screen. They put it right on his thing, and he had Ohio State. I was like, that's a little biased.
Let's see. Go Duke, Zaga. I'll throw Michigan State in there, and then Nevada.
Hey!
No Michigan.
No, I think they'll lose in the Final Four.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
No, I meant the Elite Eight. Sorry.
Okay.
Wait, never mind.
All right, if I had to substitute 2 teams, my last 2 teams that would be Syracuse and St. John.
Oh my gosh.
My Final Four is Michigan State, Tennessee, and Marquette.
So
That is terrible.
I can't wait till Marquette loses 3 in a row, and then you'll be off them. because all the teams you're on just lose. Syracuse, you said they're a Final Four team, then they fell off. Now St. John's has fallen off. Now Marquette is next.
No.
Just like your playoff
Okay.
picks.
Marquette's nasty. All right. That is going to do it for the Big Four College Basketball Podcast. We'll be back next week with another big podcast. Thank you for watching.